All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another of our SEAT webinar brought to you by AfricaNEV. Africa New Energy and Vehicles, also known as AfricaNEV, is a continental nonprofit that aims to accelerate the adoption of e-mobility in Africa through policy advocacy, awareness creation, skills development, and linking industry players in the e-mobility value chain. I am Tunde Onokoya, the mechanic. This panel session is on electric vehicles, repairs and maintenance, the ecosystem in Africa. The growth of the electric vehicle market in Africa is being driven by a number of factors, including government policies to promote clean transportation, increase environmental awareness, and falling battery prices. However, there are a number of challenges that need to be addressed in order to create a sustainable EV repair and maintenance ecosystem in Africa. One of the biggest challenges is the sourcing and availability of spare parts. Many of the companies used in electric vehicles are not yet manufactured in Africa, which means that they need to be imported. Now, this can be a major obstacle for small businesses and independent mechanics who may not have the resource to import spare parts. Another challenge is the qualification of repair and maintenance technicians. Electric vehicles are more complex than gasoline-powered vehicles, and they require specialized training to repair and maintain. There is currently a shortage of qualified EV technicians in Africa, which is a major barrier to the growth of the EV market. Needless to say that the right to repair movement is gaining momentum in Africa and could have a significant impact on the EV repair ecosystem. The right to repair movement advocates for consumers to have the right to repair their own devices, to have access to spare parts and repair information. This could help to reduce the cost of EV repairs and maintenance and make it easier for small businesses and independent mechanics to compete. I would like to welcome our panelists for today, and they are Alexander Mwanzo and Taurayi Raymond Sewera. Alex is the current general manager of Equator Mobility, Kenya's first commercial electric vehicle provider, a subsidiary of Peris. He oversees daily operations at Equator Mobility. Now, prior to joining Peris in 2021, Alex was a lithium battery engineer at Acceleron, and before that, an electric vehicle engineer at Rome.
Just to discuss what are some of the needs on the public affairs point of view, what you need from government, or you need for any specific agency. It's a mapping meeting.
Dennis,
can everyone hear me, please? Because I'm getting interference here.
Anything to be done.
Okay, I think I have better. I was talking about Alex Mwanzo, and I said he is the current general manager at Equator Mobility. That is Kenya's first commercial electric vehicle provider, a subsidiary of Peris. He oversees daily operations at Equator Mobility. Now, prior to joining Peris in 2021, Alex was a lithium battery engineer at Acceleron, and before that, an electric vehicle engineer at Rome, formerly Opibus. He leads Peris ventures in the electric mobility sector, which sits within the renewables division. He holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in Electrical and Electronics Engineering from Kenyatta University. And he is a graduate member of Kenya's Institution of Engineers, as well as Engineers Board of Kenya. Welcome, Alex.
Asante sana Tunde. Thank you so much for that introduction. Lovely to be here. Lovely to network as well.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I'll introduce Taurayi now. Well, Taurayi has over 25 years experience in the automotive repair and maintenance industry. He is the founder, CEO, and master technician of Truck Tech and General Auto Services. Taurayi is the first and currently remains the only African ASE master technician. He now holds over 36 ASE certifications, including advanced level specialist L1, L2, L3, L4, and X1. He is one of the very few technicians to have all advanced level specialist certifications, the L series, in the entire world. Taurayi recently became the first African to be an ACDC USA certified master hybrid and electric vehicles technician. Taurayi's experience, certification, and skills makes him one of the most qualified automotive technicians on the African continent, with a thorough knowledge of every aspect of automotive repair and maintenance. Please make welcome Taurayi. Taurayi, are you here with us?
Yeah, we'll go.
Taurayi, are you here with us? Taurayi, are you here with us? Please, let's hear from you if you are here with us.
I think he dropped. He's just rejoining.
Okay, he's trying to rejoin now.
Yeah, he's in the room, but his audio is yet to come on.
Okay.
He's in India. I don't know the connection there.
Oh, okay. Let's know when it comes in. All right, we have Alex. We have Alex Mwanzo here, and of course, both him and Taurayi, Raymond Sewera will be the two people that would be engaging on this panel today. Now, this panel is going to be well coordinated. We will start by engaging the discussants, that's the panelists now. They will each have a few minutes to actually give us their view of the industry as it is. Now, they will be discussing the challenges and opportunities facing the EV repair and maintenance ecosystem in Africa. They will also share their views on the right to repair movement and its potential impact on the African EV market. I would like to thank everyone for coming today, and I look forward to a stimulating discussion. Now, I'd like to take initial remarks from Alex and Taurayi. Alex, what would be your initial remarks?
My initial remarks are, if you think about it, Africa is where everything boils completely. Example, if you look at the age of the vehicles that we buy from outside, from Japan, if you've actually been lucky to watch the road, dangerous roads in Africa, you'd find that Africans use things up to the very absolute end, right? You see lorries that were made in the 1970s still on the road today. We in Africa, we are able to make things work for Africa. Now, when it comes to electric mobility, one of the major issues we're facing today is just probably access to parts and access to the right tech to fix these cars. However, there are Africans today who just through YouTube, through research, are able to fix cars themselves, just through the basic research they have and the basic knowledge that they have. If you just explore that to the next 5 years, Africans will be able to actually fix electric vehicles, not as good as, say, someone in UK or US. However, the technology will be good enough for us just to make the vehicle move, and then we'll be able to make them move for as long as possible. And then all the research that has been done saying the battery will die in the next 5 years, 12 years. I expect by the time we're importing these cars to Africa, the lifespan will actually be longer because we'll be able to squeeze as much as possible. Example, if you look at even the solar space, most of the solar panels, most of the solar battery systems that came to Africa, they were designed to last 5 years. However, Africans have been able to get 8 years out of them, 10 years out of them, by just sheer research, being able to ruin things, to fix things and things. So going back to Mother Nature's best, necessity is the mother of invention. And I think that's where we as Africa progress a lot. And that's where I see us having the most amount of opportunities. Yeah, so happy to be here again.
Thank you very much for that, Alex. Taurayi, would like to have your initial remarks, please. Taurayi, are you there with us?
Hi guys, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Taurayi, are you there with us? Very well, thank you. Yeah. Yes, I'm watching Genesis. Yes, I'm watching Genesis. Okay, can you hear me? Are you okay?
We can hear you, Taurayi, but there's a lot of feedback from where you are. It looks like there are multiple devices connected in your room that is giving this feedback that we're getting. So it'd be nice to isolate the one that you would be working with so that we can hear you clearly without that feedback. But you can go ahead, please.
There is a little bit of network. I'm in India. You know, things happen. I'm not home where I would, you know, be able to control stuff. So anyway, I'm using the phone now. So my view with electric vehicles in Africa, especially back home, if I can put an example of my country, Zimbabwe, we tried to adopt a lot of electric vehicles, and because the problem of range and range anxiety, a lot of people started to slow down on their purchases of electric vehicles. But they are the ones that really started the Nissan Leafs. But now, because of the infrastructure, the charging stations and all that kind of stuff, it kind of put them off because they were used to the gas vehicles, gas-powered vehicles, so it's easy to get fuel anyway. So the government started promoting hybrids and electrical vehicles in terms of if you import it, it's going to be cheaper for you if you pay it. So on that, I would say they started adopting a lot of hybrids. So now we're working on having electric cars in the country because now they understand the hybrid side and the kind of happy, but now they want to explore now the electric side, because electric, that means, you know, you're literally paying, you know, nuts, you know, like you're paying just nothing. So the challenge we have in Africa and what we're going to have in Africa is the problem with the range. So, and also because we're buying second-hand cars, like Alex said, that's a big challenge because now they have done their life already in the country that they were. So when they come to Africa now, it's just little left in the battery. So a lot of people, when they drive them, they would think, you know, like the electric cars are not as good as they if comparing to gas vehicles because of the infrastructure, like I said. But I've seen that our people in the country in Zimbabwe, because I will speak of something that I know, they've already started adopting a lot of hybrids. So because now the government is also advocating, pushing the adoption of EVs, and there's also big companies coming into picture that they want to do charging stations. We've already started installing charging stations in Zimbabwe, and even the government itself has started buying electric vehicles. So I'm thinking there's a bright future in Zimbabwe, but the biggest challenge is we need to teach our people. So once our people know, especially technicians and all that stuff, because a lot of people have got also worry about who's going to repair this car and all that stuff. So I'm thinking if we push more on the training of EV and also the awareness, I'm sure a lot of people will be buying these cars, because there is a lot of advantages, especially here in Africa, where we have issues with importing fuels, and the fuels are very expensive and all that stuff. So yeah, that's my view. I don't know. We'll be talking more as we go, because I don't know.
Well, thank you so much, Taurayi. And that's a beautiful introduction that both of you have been able to do. And I think you've laid the groundwork for where we'll be going. So I have my questions segmented in about 3 categories, and I'll be engaging you one by each. And sometimes I would have both of you provide responses to some of these questions. And I'll be starting from sourcing and availability of spare parts. Alex, what are the current challenges in sourcing and availability of spare parts for electric vehicles in Africa? Alex, I'd like to hear from you.
The honest truth is, example. So the outfit I run, majority of my spare parts would come from UK, and they will come from crash damaged cars. So these are body panels, lights, just because they'll be slightly cheaper. The reason for that is electric vehicles that would come to Africa at this point, they've not been in the market long enough for them to have scale. Example, if I need a Nissan Leaf headlight and I buy it from a dealer, it will cost me about $1,000, which is honestly insane. And if I buy it off a crash damaged car, which is the same exact part, I'll buy it for about $200. That's just buying it ex-works. And then if you factor in, I'll still need to ship it in via DHL. That will cost me another $50. So one of the major issues is just scale. There's just not enough cars at the market at this point for us to access the parts. Example, if you have a Prado, you know, your normal combustion engine, they have been in the market long enough for you to get access to anything. Even complete cars are being, you know, broken for parts because they're no longer being used and things like that. However, if you even think about a Tesla, there is not, and they haven't been in the market long enough for us to develop a proper aftermarket. So most of the parts will either come from a crash damaged car or someone who's parting their car. However, just purely by not having enough scale, almost immediately the prices go up, because if you need a headlight from a Tesla, someone from UK also needs it, someone from Japan also needs it, and you also from Africa, you also needs it. So that's a problem. So just access to them due to scale. However, as time goes by, this becomes better purely because if Tesla are selling 1 million cars a year, then in the next 5 years, you'll have 5 million cars. So if you think about it, of 5 million cars, you will be able to access parts which will be cheaper, and then bringing them in will also be really easy. Yeah.
Okay, Taurayi, you want to weigh in on that because you are in the field also. You're repairing electric vehicles, and what's been the challenge with getting spare parts? What are those things, sourcing and availability of these spare parts in Africa?
So in my country, we're not having challenges per se in terms of parts because of these used vehicles that we import in. So a lot of people in our country have started that business because Zimbabwe, if you didn't know, is probably has about 96, 95% unemployment. So a lot of people do their own stuff. So anything that comes to the market and they can see opportunity to make money, they go for it. So I have a lot of people back home who are importing crashed cars, you know, all that stuff that you can get. So I work pretty much on hybrids because that's what we have. In Zimbabwe, we have over 800,000 hybrids. So my shop at a given day, I'll be having over 40 hybrids. So I'm speaking of the stuff that I do every single day. So we can get used parts. The biggest challenge is getting brand new parts. But in terms of used parts, you're looking for transaxles or you're looking for battery pack, you can get a battery pack, a used one. But now, there's also a lot of guys or, you know, in the system that have started buying, you know, modules from China, modules from all over and that kind of stuff. So my worry is parts are not a big deal because, you know, how it is like with China, they've already started up, selling a lot of aftermarket parts, like in terms of if you want to rebuild a battery pack, the modules, you can literally get any modules that you can want in terms of maybe 20 cars and going back down there. So we have the parts in my country. I'm speaking from where we are. You can get the parts, but the point is, you won't get original or parts that you'd want to put on a.
So no OEMs.
Yeah, no OEMs, but the OEM that in fact we get OEMs on a second-hand part, like used part.
Yes,
yes. New one now,
but brand new, you can find OEMs.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for that response. So I'll stay with you, Taurayi. How can we improve the sourcing and availability of spare parts for electric vehicles in Africa? How exactly? What is that magic wand we need to wave to actually improve on the sourcing and availability?
So I'm thinking of, in the meantime, we need to come up with deals with countries like Japan where these things are manufactured. If it's a car that manufactured in UK, we should make deals so that we can actually have parts available in Africa. But the biggest thing that we need to do is to start preparing to do manufacturing of these parts, because already these things are there. It's just in terms of manufacturing. If I speak of Zimbabwe, we've got a lot of minerals, we've got everything that is needed, ingredients, all the ingredients we have in the country to start making these new parts. But in the meantime, I'm thinking of making deals so that we can get parts. Like right now, myself, I can have access to Tesla parts because of in my connections, because I'm always in America, but not everyone has. So the point is trying to show the West there that we have started adopting these vehicles, and they'll be interested to be selling us parts because Africa is big, and we have a lot of these things now start coming into the country. So I think making deals and having suppliers or OEM suppliers start supplying in Africa is where we need to be right now until we start doing the manufacturing in-house.
All right. Thank you so much, Taurayi. Alex, what do you think? What is that magic wand you think we can wave based on your experience in the industry that you're coming from in that particular area? What do you think are those things that Africa, and I'm saying Africa now because it is easier if we go at the common front to segment and make meet with maybe manufacturers of these parts and maybe set up plants, regional setup of plants and all of that. What do you think from your region? What do you think happens that will just solve the problem?
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, having plants in Africa, it's going to be cheaper for us because now you're not going to pay all the shipping and all the duty that you need to be paying because these things will be mostly manufactured locally. In fact, assembled locally in the meantime. So we need to have plants, assembly plants to start with. Then eventually, obviously, we will do the manufacturing. But in the meantime, I think we need to lower the OEMs to have, you know, plants here in Africa.
Okay, thank you, Taurayi. Thank you so much, Taurayi.
Yes.
All right, Alex, I'd like to ask you this. What role do you think the government needs to play in this?
I think the main role, the only role that the government needs to play is just creating policy for fair playground, right? Example, right now EVs are really expensive because they're still new. And if you look at paying about $40,000 for a vehicle, when you know an absolute competitor will cost about $10,000, then the numbers just don't make sense. However, most of this is just because of the taxes that are being used today. They're still prohibitive because they were made for the older generation of vehicles, right? So you're still paying your excess duties, your import duties, and things like that. Now, how do we spark growth? How does the government spark growth towards improving electric mobility? It's a scale type of issue. If you remove the taxes, and we are not saying you remove the taxes completely, we are just saying give us tax breaks for just 4 or 5 years for us to bring enough electric vehicles to market, for us to test the technology so that we don't have the high initial capex, so that all of a sudden electric mobility makes sense. Now, if I'm importing 5 electric vehicles per month and then the taxes go down, instead of paying $40,000, now I'm paying $20,000, all of a sudden it's now achievable for most of the guys, right? If it's achievable for most of the guys, then it means most guys will buy it. If most of the guys will buy it, then it means most people who are looking to invest into the charging infrastructure, they're saying, okay, you guys are importing 5, it wouldn't make sense at that point. Now you're importing 100 per month. Now it does make a lot of sense. Now let's set up charging stations. So all of a sudden, the ecosystem between the government just reducing taxes and giving enough enabling policies, the whole ecosystem starts to grow. You'll now have enough charging stations for you to power all these 100 cars per month. Out of these charging stations, there will be another ecosystem of all of a sudden there's a lot of cars for us to now start importing used vehicle parts, for us to start service stations, for us to start hubs, and for us to even create systems that will create an end-of-life platforms for all these cars. If your vehicle dies at any point, I'm able to buy the battery, put it in another vehicle, or buy the battery and set up a solar battery for another environment, right? So the government playing ball for 3 years minimum or 5 years maximum just allows us to have enabling environment for us to grow. From that growth is now whereby we will develop curriculum from guys to say, electric vehicles are here, how do we fix them? Now mechanics will now start learning about them. And just by doing that, there will be another company that will be set up to say, instead of you bringing in a complete car, we can actually make the seats locally because there is enough scale. We can get you the tires locally. There is enough scale. You don't need to bring an entire vehicle. We can make you the lights locally. There is enough scale. So there is that ecosystem of industries, charging stations, service stations, and even schools that will grow just by getting the correct policies. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for that submission. I'll come back to you, Taurayi, now. What are those innovative ways? And I mean, I'm not just talking about we're importing everything. What are those innovative ways that are being used right now to source and distribute spare parts for electric vehicles in Africa?
So, like I said, a lot of people, like in my country, they're importing all the stuff from Dubai, from Japan. These are the way they are doing it, and they're so abundant. We have a lot of dealers now selling a lot of used parts. But I recommend the government also. It started, they're working on, scrapping the duty for hybrid and electrical vehicles spares. They're also working on having tax lower down in terms of if you're importing anything hybrid or electrical vehicles. Our government, like in my country, they've already lowered. In fact, when you import a hybrid and electrical vehicles, you're literally paying less than 50% of what you would pay on a conventional or traditional vehicle. So they're actually promoting, the government is actually promoting us to have hybrid and electrical vehicles. So I think every other government in Africa should should start doing that. The challenge that I think is happening in Africa is the knowledge and the know-how. Because the problem government people don't even understand. Because I remember at one point I was on TV talking about hybrids and electrical vehicles, and a lot of people would ask me simple questions like, "What is a hybrid?" They don't even know what a hybrid is. So how then do you convince the government to say, "Oh, you're going to lose money in terms of tax revenue because we want to import this"? So I think schooling awareness and having technicians trained first, I think it would make sense, because you can't adopt vehicles first and train technicians later. It doesn't make sense, because the moment you buy the car, it's almost due for service before you know it. You see, so we need to train the technicians first. This is the key. When you train the technicians, the government gets in it, because now they understand education starts first, right? Once everyone is on board, everything else we discuss on the table is going to pass.
All right. Thank you so much, both of you. Don't forget, this is a webinar that's been put together by AfricaNEV, and we're discussing today maintenance, repairs, and the challenges that are faced for maintenance, repairs, and spare parts for hybrids, and of course, focusing on electric vehicles in Africa. Now, I'm going to move now into the area of qualification of repair and maintenance technicians. And I wouldn't want to start with you, Taurayi, because as much as this is your forte, I'd like to hear more from Alex in this area, because you might be looking at this from just your perspective, but I'd like Alex to start with me here. How can we improve the qualification of repair and maintenance technicians of electric vehicles in Africa? Alex, I want you to take this, please.
That's actually a really good idea. And so I have actually been in the space actively for the last 5 years. And it actually started from nothing. You don't have any information, it's more YouTube, because there was no school you'd go to at that time that can actually give you the basics of electric vehicles. This does this, this does this, any orange wire, it's a dangerous wire, and things like that. However, it's also type of a mindset when you're creating industry. Example, we are brought up to believe over competition, over collaboration, which I think is a wrong way to go about it. However, I think at the early stages of setting this up, we need, as the guys in industry, guys like AfricaNEV, guys like Mobility, guys like Taurayi, we need to actually develop curriculum that we can go to schools and say, if any of you is looking to get into EVs, this is the sort of checklist that you look at. It's, you know, it's not night and day that you actually have to follow it. However, these are the basics that you need to go about it. Anyone, and I don't know about Raymond, anyone that is looking to go into the e-mobility space will either have to go to UK, China, or US. Unfortunately, that's not achievable for most of us. And if the market grows at the way it will grow, we will be caught unawares by just not having enough manpower, or rather enough skill set for that to happen. So this is a challenge that I'd give to guys who are in the business. What are you doing to develop local skill set? You know, are you offering internships? Are you actually partnering with schools? You know, your universities, colleges, your technical institution, and saying, we have this. We are happy to even donate one of our electric bike to you guys. Take it apart, fix it. This does this. So in the next 2-3 years, when the technology is now already at home, at least there's 100 people who know what's happening. You know, they might not know everything, but at least they'll know what to touch, what not to touch, and what to research on. However,
they'll be able to do the basics.
Absolutely. The problem is we're still on that competition stage. You know, everyone is hiding their tech. If someone brings in a Tesla today, he'll probably not want you guys to touch it, you know. And there's also that fear of, if I bring it to you and you mess it up, I have to wait another 2 weeks for DHL to bring me a part. However, if we open ourselves to say, let's now start collaborating, you know, Africa-wide, this is what we have in Africa, this is what we have in Kenya, this is what we have in Zim, this is what we have in South Africa. What are the common things that we already have? What should we go to the schools and say, this is what we have right now? It can be even as simple as just normal diagnosis, and even going to UK and saying, we are in Africa, kindly develop a simple curriculum for us that can be adopted for us, and then even if it's paid for, then we can spin it to make sense for you guys. But as of now, we're just in limbo. Yeah, probably actually Raymond can touch more on this.
I intentionally did not start with Raymond because I know that this is his forte, and I just wanted to I wanted you to look at a broader view compared to Raymond narrowing down on exactly what needs to be done. But right now, I mean, I will have to yield the floor to Raymond to actually give me a particular answer, which is, what are the qualifications required for repair and maintenance technicians of electric vehicles? What are those qualifications required? Raymond, go ahead.
Yeah, there was some feedback.
Hello, Raymond. Taurayi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. There's someone else who's talking.
Oh, so sorry. So my question to you is, what are the qualifications required for repair and maintenance technicians of electric vehicles?
Okay, so there is a lot of areas that people can train. A technician can actually just train for just doing minor maintenance, or can just do a few things on a vehicle. And we go all the way to have a master technician who actually works from the front bumper to the rear bumper and everything in between. So I'm not so sure I understand the question, what is needed, but what we need is the fundamentals, like high voltage safety systems and PPEs, that kind of qualification. Then the safety part of it is a big one. Then we do the maintenance part. Then that's what we need basically for now, which is not too much to ask from technique. It's something that we can do locally. It's just that we need to develop, like Alex said, more like a curriculum, so that we kind of train this whole thing across Africa. It's not just in one country. So, but it's something that we can develop. We don't need to go anywhere else, because what I noticed is that some of the problems that challenges that I'm facing back home when I'm working on vehicles is that because of altitude, because of temperature. Yes, temperatures in Africa, the
dust
climate
in the environment,
the terrain, and all those dust that we have in Africa. Some of the issues I've never heard guys talk about them who have been working on electric vehicles and hybrids back in America. So we need to come up with more like a training that is custom made specifically for African EVs and hybrids. you know, so that it's kind of addressing the issues that you kind of face yourselves.
That are local to us.
Yeah, that's all local to us. Because the training in America was made locally for them. They were not thinking about that. Yeah.
Okay. Taurayi, I'll stay with you. Now, what are the roles that government, training institutions, manufacturers are actually supposed to play in improving the qualification of repair and maintenance technicians of electric vehicles in Africa? How do we bring all of this together? We know everybody has a role to play. We know the government can help a big deal. Training institutions have a job to do. Manufacturers can also do something about this. And of course, the ecosystem can be created. But what are those particular things that you think we can put together to be able to add? Yes, we are talking about developing curriculum, but I know that almost every country in Africa has their technical certification program, but oftentimes it doesn't cover EVs. And if it doesn't, how do we begin to integrate into those?
So Tunde,
yes,
the thing is, I've learned over the years that the curriculum we use in Africa, no matter which country, is way outdated.
Yes.
The stuff that they teach in school, vocational training centers, is outdated. So we need to change all that. It's even conventional vehicles. A lot of people can't even do proper diagnostics on a normal car. So that's where we need to start from. And initiations like right now, like bringing up like this, 5-day trainings, 1 week day, 1 week training is the stuff that we need to do in every country more oftenly. Like every month we should have more like training happening. Because I'll tell you one thing, back home in Zimbabwe, because the government was advocating for adoption of hybrids and electrical vehicles, we have so many who don't have technicians. So the area of adoption of these electric vehicles because of that. Because now we right now we're flooded with hybrids and electrical vehicles in the country, but there isn't any technician who's qualified that I know. So there's a feedback. There's feedback coming. I don't know if you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I think this feedback is. Please, could you kindly just mute your microphone if you don't have the floor? And at the moment, I think just 3 of us have the floor. Myself, Taurayi, Raymond, and Alex Mwanzo. We're the 3 people that have the floor now. Every other person, please mute your microphone so that we can get. John Msingo, you are back on again, and you are really disrupting the flow of things. Please, let's do that so that this session can go as smoothly as possible. Taurayi, finish your thoughts, please.
Yeah, so I think every government or parastatals and all these companies, organizations, they need to play a role because they've already adopted this hybrid electrical vehicle even without knowing it. Because some of these cars that they buy, it's not even written hybrid, but yet it's got hybrid system. I've worked on cars that are not written even hybrid. You can't see anywhere it's written hybrid. And a lot of people don't even understand that there's a battery pack on it. When they come to you, they say, I need a service. Then you start telling them that there's a high voltage battery pack. They'll be like, where is that? So I'm saying a lot of people, they don't even know. So it starts with the governments, companies, schools and everything else. We have to come together, like you said. I know curriculum can take time to develop, but we could try to do trainings that AfricaNEV has started initiating, like 1 week, 3-day, 5-day, trainings. So I think that's our starting point because the thing we're talking about is not like in the next 3 years. In my country, we have issues today. Like I tell you, I've had 5 guys calling me today and saying they're waiting for me. They don't care when I'm coming. They have issues with the car, and no one can fix that car back home in Zimbabwe. So we don't want to be there. We need to prepare now. We can't talk about training next month.
So Taurayi, if I get you clearly now,
yeah,
you think that we should go in now with what I would call a fire brigade approach.
Yes.
There is fire on the mountain, and if I understand how to activate that very well, it will be a situation where we do right now continuous professional development training for existing technicians to be able to diversify into this, and we can leverage on the fact that they understand the basics to get this done. Am I right?
You're very right. So we'll be training seasoned technicians already, just upgrading them from conventional traditional cars to hybrid electrical cars. So it's easy for that to train those guys. They know other systems. Like we still have brakes, we still have air conditioning stuff. They just need to understand the difference. So we can go with fire, like you said. Like we have to attack this thing, because also the other thing that I realized we can do right now, even in school. So the trainings like the one that AfricaNEV is bringing, we can actually start training trainers of trainers.
Yes.
Of the POTs, you call them. So it's easy to actually spread the information, the technical stuff through challenges that way. So it's more like you go to a vocational training center, then we train the trainers. Then it's faster than before you know it, a trainer is training 40, 50 kids in class every day. So it's easier to train these trainers of trainers. So yeah, I think government has to be, everyone else has to be on board so that we do this thing more often. Like I'll tell you quickly, sorry, I'm taking more time, but I'll tell you where I'm going in America. They do more trainings a month than you can count. So they're constantly training, because the problem with technology is changing every single day. We're talking about this thing. The moment we discuss and tune about this thing, something else has just come up right now when we're doing this new technology on a vehicle. We can't afford to wait and say we're going to do it some other time. No, let's do it now, and let's do it more often.
Okay, thank you so much, Taurayi. Alex, you want to weigh in on this quickly? Let me hear your thoughts on this area.
Yeah, I think I'm with Raymond on this. If you go to schools today, they're still being taught on how to adjust a carburetor. Carburetor is 20 years old now. No one is using it anymore. Even your generators at home, no one is using them anymore. Unless there is that collaboration, I still see the gap being there. However, we can still force the conversation by saying, this is what's already here, this is what's coming, and this is how to get into speed. By preparing yourself and whatever is happening in schools. Because the thing about actually partnering with schools, and it can even go as low as your high schools, your primary schools, just a small lesson and saying, this is what's happening. So there is a lot to be bridged between what is in the current curriculum and how do they get to speed towards electric vehicles, towards the whole ecosystem as a whole. Because the problem is, by the time they're learning about electric vehicles, probably guys will be using, your sodium, your solid states and things like that. However, how do we make sure whatever is being taught today, whatever is developed today, is not only necessary for today, but also opens up the ecosystem towards whatever is happening tomorrow? So example, if you're using lithium today, what other technology is being used by your BYDs, your Teslas, your CATLs towards the next generation of batteries? So if whatever happens, NEO actually makes the swap model work for cars, how prepared are we for that? It's not like every new technology that comes, we have to bring in a new technology and things like that. Yeah.
So if I can add on that, Tunde.
Go for it, right?
Yeah, all right. So
yes, you can. You can, please.
It's very easy to teach even kids from primary school. I have a 6-year-old son that can do literally what a lot of technicians can't even do. He takes apart battery packs and all that kind of stuff. He's only 6 years old. So I was mesmerized by how fast they can learn. So like Alex said, it needs to be introduced from primary level. And it has to be done by next year, 2024. We shouldn't be waiting for anything like that, because, the most scary thing, I'll tell you, Lamborghini, everyone knows Lamborghini with engines and making noise and all that stuff with horsepower. They sold their last traditional car probably a month or 2 months ago. Imagine Lamborghini itself has sold a traditional engine. They're doing hybrids and more. So that tells you a lot that commercial companies have already embarked on this thing big time.
Okay,
so
thank you so much.
Behind a little bit in Africa.
Yes, thank you very much. I see a comment here from Olu Kokoi, I can't pronounce that properly. He said there are already companies in West Africa offering training for electrical and electronic technicians to begin repair works on motors, controllers, and everything else is mechanical and no difference from existing ICE vehicles. There are multiple actors that can come together and create a curriculum locally without having to turn this e-mobility industry into a rocket science discipline. Now, that seems to be what it looks like a lot to us in Africa. Taurayi, is the e-mobility sector a rocket science discipline?
No, it's not, brother. It's not. I'll tell you one thing. What made me go to America was just, I wanted to learn the fundamentals when I saw one video when one instructor was teaching on YouTube. So I'll tell you the fundamentals, the basics that they've learned already. We just need to tweak them a little bit for them to actually work on a hybrid. I've got my brother that I'm working with who has never worked on a hybrid electrical vehicle. We used to own buses and trucks. Then we used to work on heavy vehicle equipment and all that stuff. I started working with him about 6 months ago, but I'll tell you, brother, today he was actually doing a Mazda Axela 3 that had issues with when you drive about 2 kilometers, then it starts. He fixed it. I'm talking about someone who just learned in 6 months, was doing everything on a car that needed diagnostics. That car came from more like 500 kilometers from where we are because no one could fix it. But my brother, who I'm just working with and teaching him. So my thinking of teaching is the way we're teaching with AfricaNEV. Is a hands-on. It's more like theory hands-on at the same time. So that's how technicians can learn quickly. They don't need to have years and years to, like they used to do, like rocket science you're talking about. This thing is simple.
Yes.
When you start working on it and someone is showing you on the vehicle, you are not intimidated anymore. So that's exactly what we did in Kenya. Before you know it, women were putting back together DC converters, inverters. Women, they were working on it in just 5 days.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I'd like to use this opportunity to remind every one of us that AfricaNEV has been putting together a series of training across Africa, and that's what we're trying to solve. This problem of it looking like it's rocket science, this problem of not having enough trained hands to work on these vehicles, and several trainings have been organized before. I know that the next training is coming up in Accra, Ghana, from 6th to I think we have one that is taking place one is taking place in Nairobi, Kenya. That's 22nd to 29th of September. Yes, that's going to happen in Nairobi, Kenya. The next one is going to be in Accra, Ghana on the 6th to 14th of October 2023. And then we have another in Kumasi in Ghana as well, 16th to 21st of October 2023. And we're looking at Lagos, Nigeria, from the 20th to 27th of October. We're going to have electric and hybrid vehicle repair and maintenance training. So it means that AfricaNEV now, from between now and the end of 2023, there are 4 organized EV trainings. And we would not say that is not sufficient because we basically have just 4 months to end the year. So if we're able to pull off 4 trainings in four months for various people in various parts of Africa, from Kenya, Accra in Ghana, Kumasi in Ghana, and Lagos, Nigeria, I think that is AfricaNEV doing a whole lot already. Now, we can go ahead and replicate this. However, that common front is important. Can we have a joint curriculum we are putting in place that allows easy scalability of this learning and knowledge? I think those are some of the things we should be putting into consideration. Now, I am supposed to have David Mkambe on this call. Do I have David here? He's from Kenya Power. Do I have David here? Hello, David. If you're here, you can unmute and signify that you are here. Gad, do we have David Mkambe here? No, I'm not sure.
No, he's not here.
No, we don't have it. Well, I understand that he was one of those people from Kenya Power that have participated in one of the AfricaNEV trainings on hybrids and electrics. And I would have loved to get his testimony. But if he still joins us before we leave, we'll bring him on so that he can share his experience And so that others on this call, especially those that are interested in taking these courses and have people that should be interested in taking these classes, can go out there and spread the gospel. It's important we spread the gospel. One of the things I also took away from the submission made by Taurayi earlier is the advocacy. Now, we need to increase public knowledge of hybrids and electric vehicles. The government institutions that we are trying to get regulations from don't seem to understand. So can we organize a workshop for stakeholders to actually educate them on this in the various countries? I think it's a smart idea to go by. The motoring public, can we encourage them by giving them enough knowledge so that when they are making purchases of their vehicles, they can know that they're making informed decisions because they know about hybrids, they know about electrics, they know about regular conventional vehicles, and they are making that choice of which one to take from them. Now, I'll go back to my panelists. Thank you so much, Taurayi, for joining us so far. And Alex, good job you're doing in responding to these questions. So I'm going to focus now on the right to repair. Now, right to repair. Can you, yes, I can see. Alex, you're smiling. Right to repair. What is right to repair? Educate us. What is right to repair?
Okay. Take your phone, for example. Every time it falls down and you break your screen, you know where to get a screen. You need to open 2 screws and then you can replace it. It's pretty simple. If you break anything, like every other African, you'd like to fix it as cheap as possible, right? Now, right to repair is that ability to actually fix your own screen for your own phone. You might choose to have it fixed by someone else, or you can fix it yourself based on whatever data has been provided, on whatever research has been provided. Now, a lot of companies right now who are actually selling cars and electric vehicles, they lock that one out for you as a user. If you get a puncture, you need to go to a service station because the computers will be surprised. Now, why is that a problem? If in a well-meaning society whereby, you know, everything works, which unfortunately Africa doesn't, that makes sense, right? However, you'd find, example, if you've bought any vehicle after 2015, it does not come with a spare wheel, which doesn't make sense, right? But that's one of the ways of them locking you out from actually repairing your own vehicle. So they're trying to remove as much user repairable bits as much as possible so that anytime something happens, you need to go to a dealer so that they can fix it. If you break a headlight, a simple breakage, you cannot replace a bulb. You need to code something in a computer so that a small bulb can actually come on, which is actually wrong. Now, right to repair comes in whereby if I buy a vehicle, I can repair it myself, and you as the dealer or you as the company that has sold me the asset, you are necessitated to provide me enough information for me to repair the basic stuff. You know, the right to repair does not mean you completely open up your battery pack, but it means the basic things that would normally go south. Yeah, you know, you need to do brake service, things like that you can do yourself. Now, if you lock that one out for someone deep in a village in Kenya who has no access to internet, who has no access to over-the-air updates, then all of a sudden you've locked out someone who actually is able to afford the vehicle, but does not have access to either a dealer or internet for them to do basic things. So one of the things, yeah, welcome.
Thank you. I think you simplified it enough for us. Now, because of the intricacies of doing this, I'm coming to you now, Raymond, Taurayi, and that is to ask you, how can the right to repair idea impact the African electronic vehicle repair ecosystem?
All right, so I'll tell you one thing. The problem with the hybrid and electrical vehicles, they're very, very, very dangerous. I know a lot of people in Africa, they want to try and simplify this whole thing. It's like rocket science and all that stuff. The safety part of it is where the problem is in terms of hybrid and electrical vehicles. You will literally die if you're electrocuted by most of the vehicles that are out there now. They've got bigger batteries. So there's no room for error. So that's the reason why sometimes the manufacturers, OEMs and all that stuff, they are locking people from working on the vehicles. I'm with them. What we need to do is train our people. Once they're trained, they're certified, they can work on the vehicle. The problem with another car, like I'll tell you, I was self-taught for 17 years. I taught myself to fix cars. I was experimenting with cars. You can't do that with hybrids and electrical cars. You can't. You'll have to do what you have to do, what you're taught to do with hybrid and electrical cars. I'll tell you that. Because me, I've been a tech for 25 years, but I'll tell you, every time I've got a hybrid come into my shop or even an electric car, I treat it with delicacy. There has to be tapes around. They have to be, you know, you
areas that are cordoned off completely when you're working on that.
Yeah, so that people don't have access to that who are not trained. So it's not like manufacturers, they don't want you to fix this cars. The problem, the liability will be on them if they don't push, you know, this right to repair thing. So my thinking is, as Africans, we need to teach our people. Once they know, because I remember very well when I was a little bit younger, when electricity started coming more like in urban areas, when they were installing electricity in homes. I remember this thing is very dangerous. We used to go to a community hall to watch short movies about how dangerous electricity is and how you can be electrocuted. Right now, I have got my kids, about 5 kids that I have. I've never taught any one of them how dangerous the electricity is. They just respect, they grew up like that. So imagine, so that's the same thing we have to do. It's not like rocket science, but danger is danger. You can't play with someone's life. So we need to teach them. Once they know, they're free to work on the cars.
Yes.
That's the whole point.
Yes, Evans, you are actually, okay, thank you for muting your mic. Taurayi, just finish your thoughts quickly so that we can proceed.
Yeah, so my thinking is it starts with let's push a lot of like you said, Tune, like let's have in organizations, government people, you know, who can have webinars, who can have classes that they can attend. Once they know, then they can come up with legislation, they can come up with rules and all that kind of stuff. Because I'll tell you that we can't have everyone fixing electric cars, hybrids, you know, in rural areas, you know, without equipment that they have. You have to have PPE. These things can electrocute you before. It's just crazy how these things are.
Yes.
Of course, they are designed to be the safest systems, but things can go haywire. You know how it is, like they designed the thing to discharge themselves within few seconds. What if it acts up, then the contactors are closed, and the capacitors are full?
Yes.
You've removed, you've removed the safe plug, the MSD, but now
the
capacitors
remain charged.
full. They are charged.
Yes.
You see, that's a problem. We need to learn to test things. You know, it's not like you Google, then you hear, oh, if you want to work on a Prius, just remove your negative terminal and remove your MSD. Then you can go and work. No. You don't do it that way. After doing all these things, you have to test if voltage is still there.
And you have to discharge the capacitors.
So
you have to discharge the capacitors, yes.
Yes, it comes from training that we have to come up with so that our people can work on hybrids and electrical cars. It's funny to work on them as, when we are safe. Let's be safe and work on the vehicle. So I think advocacy is the deal.
Thank you so much, Taurayi. I appreciate this a lot. You know, on a lighter note, they say there are two things electricity can do for you. Electricity can cook you your breakfast, but it could also cook you. So you have to determine how you want electricity to serve you at that point in time. Yes. So thank you so much. At this juncture, I want to open for questions and answers. I want us to be able to take questions from some of our audience here. We have a good number of people over here, numbering about 100. We have 99 people in-house right now, which is very impressive. So if anybody has questions, I think it's a good idea for you to raise your hands now. Then we would allow you to ask questions. We have just about 10 minutes to be able to do this on the maximum. So let's please raise your hand if you have questions. I've not seen any.
I think Alex Munene, who ran the training.
Okay, we have one of those that attended the trainings.
Yes, they are here. So,
so we have Alex.
Then they can.
Okay, so Alex Munene, if you are here, please unmute your microphone because I'd like to interact with you and ask you a few questions with regards to training. Are you here?
Hi, Tunde, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you, Alex. How are you today?
Thank you so much. I don't know whether I'm the right person to give feedback about the training because I was part of the organizing team. So, but I can
yes,
see
but
some
it would be
of the
good to hear from
participants
you.
are here. I've seen almost 5 of them.
Okay,
So,
but let's hear from you. Let's hear from you. What was the training like? Which training did you organize? Let's start from there. Which one? Okay, which country? And what was the experience like?
So basically, we were the local partner for AfricaNEV to in arranging that first e-mobility technical training, which was carried out in May. It was over a period of 6 days. So 5 days was hands-on physical training and 1 day virtual training. And we had a lot of interest from people in the automotive sector who are trying to transition to e-mobility. So some of them are here. I think I've seen almost 5 of them, so they can give their feedback, how the training was.
Which country was that?
This was in Nairobi. We were doing this in Kenya. We were operating from the Basigo workshop. So Basigo is an EV bus company based in Nairobi.
Okay.
And we worked on a Nissan Leaf vehicle. Taurayi was with us for that whole period. And we were able to disassemble and reassemble some main parts, mainly the inverter and the battery pack. And we also visited some other e-mobility companies around Nairobi, 2-wheelers, 4-wheelers, so that the participants were able to see that it's an industry which is gaining traction. So I think for me, the only thing I would add is that I support everything that the panelists have said. The only thing I would add is that we have a lot of work to do in terms of what I would call EV myths, shattering them. And that's the main part of the training. In fact, the main part of training is not just technical training. It is these myths which keep, going around in society about EVs. So people with a, lack of understanding of EVs, either out of ignorance or maybe others have interest in the ICE industry, the fossil fuel industry. They spread a lot of misinformation, about lithium pollution.
Okay, thank you so much, Alex. Is there anybody on this call that was part of that training in Nairobi that wants to share their experience with us? I don't know. Can you point them out for us, Alex? I mean, if you know anybody, and so we can just bring them up and let them share their experience.
I think I've seen, we can start with the ladies. I think Peris was here, Peris, Karanga, and who? John, Judith Wanjiko, John Ngondo.
So do we have any one of them that would like to share their experience? I would appreciate it a lot.
Mishira Ngoge, Michael, Ochiel. Feel free to unmute your mics and give your opinion or your feedback.
Yes, that we're talking about anybody that is in the audience here. I mean, here that participated in the training that took place in Nairobi on EVs. I would like to hear your experience, to share with us what it was like. I don't seem to be getting anyone. Gad, do you want to point someone out for us, or if there's yes, if Alex wants to point anyone out.
If it's a straight through process, you put it at the start, but it fixes it when it needs it. The machine is able to do that. Yes, but we set it from wherever to dry.
Yes, Coco, you are actually okay. Thank you for muting your mic. So yes, is there anyone here?
Yes, Peris was about to talk.
All right, Peris, please go ahead. Thank you for joining us. Yes, we can hear you, Peris. I hope you can hear me. Yes, I can hear you, Peris. Hello, Peris. Are you still with us? I can hear you. I could hear you a moment ago, but not anymore now.
Hello?
Yes, Peris, go ahead, please.
Okay, so I attended the training during May, and for me, it gave me a direction on what was needed to work on a simple electric vehicle and to upgrade it. So from then onwards, we have gone ahead to work with a few institutions to to upgrade some of the vehicles that we had that were not working as optimally. So it gave me the courage to work on it, especially with the fact that it has high voltage systems. That had been the main challenge on my end.
Okay, so the vehicle you worked on, do you want to share? Was it a hybrid? Was it an electric vehicle? And what problem were you able to resolve on it?
So we're still working on it. The first challenge was the range because of the size of the battery that it has. It's an electric vehicle, the BEV. So the battery size was at around 8 kilowatts, and we need to improve the range. So what we have started on is adding an extra battery pack, but we figured out that the motor would also need to be changed because of the specifications it had. So that's what has taken us back to the drawing board, but hopefully it will be up and running very soon.
Oh, that's beautiful, Peris. Well done. So would you say that training that you actually attended, the EV training you attended, was what threw light on this for you and gave you that confidence and capacity to do what you're doing at the moment?
Yeah, it met most of my expectations, especially in terms of gaining that confidence to finally work on the vehicle, and also knowing what I needed to have. I think the biggest challenge had been the confusion on which tools do I need. Will this vehicle electrocute me? So those were the first guidelines. I mean, once you understand what you need and the tools that you need, I think you're ready to go.
Okay, fantastic. Now, on the final note, would you recommend the AfricaNEV training for anyone?
Hello.
Yeah, I would absolutely.
Hello. Yes.
Roland, you are actually thank you for taking that off. So Peris, yes, I was waiting for your response.
Yeah, I would recommend it to anyone who feels they were as confused as I was, especially in understanding where they need to start. So it will be a great opportunity to actually attend it and also learn from the people who will be there, because in one way or another you will meet people from different professions who were there. So for me, for example, I got a chance to also have a look at a bus, the electric buses, and I got to understand how it works. So there are lots of things you would learn from being at the training.
Thank you so much, Peris. I really appreciate your input, and I wish you good luck on that vehicle you're working on. And I hope that when you're done working on it, you'd share your learning curve from that with us, and maybe teach us a few things as well. Thank you so much for giving us audience and for joining this call as well. So I understand that John Ngondo, Michira Ngoge, Judith Wanjiku, Michael Oche, Peris were those people that attended, some of the people on this call that attended that particular training by AfricaNEV in Nairobi, Kenya. So the others that are coming up, you can also join, and because we have a testimony from the people that have attended here. Peris, you can mute your mic now so that we'll just continue with this call. Thank you so much once again. Taurayi, you were there in Kenya, and of course, you have been commended for the amazing job you did over there. What was that thing that made you feel it was important what you did in Kenya during that training? What was that thing that struck out to you?
Just to remove the mist, or if I may say, to remove the confusion is one thing that I just enjoy. When you start teaching these guys, telling them how it works, when they start understanding the things, and now they are asking you questions, it's just fulfilling. And I was very happy, and I'm happy to be doing it again and again. So actually, it's difficult to come up with curriculum in Africa because, you're training maybe 20 people who come in from different angles or areas that they work on every day. So you're talking about government officials, you're talking about a technician, and you're talking about a manager here and there. So to come up with a training that suits everyone in the 20 people that you'll be training in a class is kind of difficult. But, I've come up with a way where we can all get dirty. We come up with a training where we're working on a vehicle. So in that sense, we will be on the same level, doing the same thing. So that's a good thing of learning on a vehicle. So like Peris said, so the confusion will go away, because if you're in the class, you can only get more confused. If we teach you theory, and you start talking about all this stuff, the terminologies and stuff, you get more confused. So the good thing is we talk a little bit of the theory thing, then we go on the vehicle. Then the rest we'll do on the vehicle. If you have questions as a group, or we answer all these questions, and we'll be talking about the components that they can actually feel, touch, and feel. So that way will be embedded in their mind. So that kind of training won't go away, because you actually saw the training, you were a part of it. I like the theory thing. I think it's just it kind of takes a lot of time for someone to be confident to work on a vehicle.
Thank you very much, Raymond, for that. We have Alex. You are still with us, and I'd like to get your take. How do we optimize the curriculum that we are going to use that carries everyone along and is sufficient to take care of the current challenges we have in the AfricaNEV ecosystem? Alex, are you still with us? Well, while we wait for Alex to join us, I have a few people with their hands raised. Ignatius Mikoko, I have John Misingo, and Tolulope Olukokun. Three of you have your hands up. I'll start with Ignatius, please. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, thank you very much, and I'm glad that I'm part of this conversation, which is very important for the African continent. But my question is, it was briefly touched on by Raymond on the curriculum. Is there any country which has got a curriculum on the repair and maintenance and repair and maintenance of EVs? And if so, how can other countries be helped to come up or to develop a curriculum on the repair and maintenance? What I see, it's a very serious barrier for the adoption of EVs in Africa. Because, first of all, there's no curriculum and there are no technicians. What happens if the vehicle breaks down? So it's a very serious barrier which needs to be addressed as we strive to increase the adoption of EVs in Africa. So which country has got which has developed a curriculum on the repair and maintenance of EVs? And also, how can other countries be helped to develop such a curriculum? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ignatius. Let's take the next one. I have John Singo. You can just go ahead with your question. So we'll take all the questions and then provide answers to them at once. John, are you there? Okay, if John Misingo is not there, Tolulope Olukokun has his hands up. You can just go ahead, please.
Hello, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I want to thank the panelists and the moderator and everybody that participated so far. Mine is not a question, but some kind of observation and things that I know. You see, on the curriculum thing, what we have decided at AfricaNEV is that there is no one training that will have it all. Trainings are developed in levels. So what we are currently having is the first entry to what AfricaNEV is the first level. Then as time goes on, because there will be specialization, and people will start to choose which area they want to go into. I know somebody talked about the mechanics being the same and all of that. The mechanics could be the same, but the connectivity and the high voltage is still a danger, even if you are working on the mechanical part alone. So as that goes on, curriculum for each level will be developed, and everybody will know where they belong and be able to go for the training they want to go into. There is no one curriculum that will fit for everybody. I don't want us to start looking at that at all. We will develop several curriculum for several levels, specializations, and that's how that can work. And I also want to talk about the challenges we are facing. When it comes to repairs and all of that, it's the same everywhere. I understand that the kind of faults will be different. But what I'm saying is that communities come together in developed countries, America and all of that, and they begin to look at how to solve this problem. And that is why if you are buying like a Nissan Leaf motor and you are not buying it with the inverter, there are some open source inverters you can use that have already been decoded. It started from forum, you know, like this, where people come together and say, okay, I know how to do this, I can hack this. When we use this encoder and decoder, we can have this inverter or controller working with this motor and a whole lot of that. That has to be encouraged. I discovered that Africa, we don't do a lot of DIY, and we are not encouraged. And that's one of the reasons I started the channel I started back then, to teach and expose that these things can be done. But they are not rocket science like it said. That's just my take. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Torilope. That is well taken. Sam, if your hand is up, you could go ahead, have the floor, because we're wrapping up this session very soon. So let's make it as quickly as possible.
All right, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. With mine, it's a bit of a question or a premise. With respect to the adoption of EVs in Ghana and in Africa as a whole, I believe one way that this can be done quicker will be if we also look at technologies or systems in changing probably the ICEs we have now into EVs, maybe making them hybrid, or if possible, making them full EVs. And I wanted to find out if there are anyone on this call who has experience in that. Probably not huge cars for a start, maybe the small Toyota Vitz and the so-called K cars, which are small and the 1.0, 1.2 liter engines. Probably starting from there and then scaling it up. It at least would engineer more interest, and it becomes easier to leverage the best of both worlds if possible. And then as time goes on, we increase in our knowledge. I don't know if anyone of the panelists has any of this, has tried any of this or has a background in that. So that's what I wanted to find out, how easy it is, or if it's difficult, or if it's a no,
Okay.
I don't know if I could speak to that quickly.
Tolu, we will get back to you being able to do that, but let's take the other questions as well. Someone has raised their hand in the comments. I understand Rishin has raised his hand. Please, you could go ahead and ask your question. We are taking the questions down so that we can provide holistic responses to them. There's Rishin. I'm told that yes.
Okay, thanks so much for this engagement. It's really been informative. I've gotten a lot of information from both Alex and Raymond regarding developments and also people behavior in different countries. I'm actually going to be attending the training in Nairobi this September. I'm looking forward to that now that I've got some insight of what to expect with the engagements. Also been watching a lot of content surrounding Kenya and Africa and the developments in the EV space. And one of my concerns were the skills deficit, especially with the amount of vehicles coming in and with that number growing. So it's great to find a group that are focused on skills development. I also believe that skills development should start at a youth level to change the mindset of the people so that they can be more independent on transport. And I look forward to engaging with some industry professionals when in my visit to Kenya. And I'd just like to say thank you so much to the panelists. This has been a very informative experience, and I am looking forward to engaging with everyone. Thank you.
Right, fantastic. Thank you, Rishan, for that. Samuel Asante has his hands up. I don't know if he has, or if you have been attended to, please, you could just put your hand down. Is there anybody else that has question?
Hello, I have a question.
All right, go
Hello?
ahead. Yes, go ahead, please,
Yeah,
Samuel.
Yes, I'm from Ghana, based in Tema.
Okay.
Yes, yes. I'm very happy that you are having this training. But I have a question that I want to ask. Do you know that we have qualified hybrid and electric vehicle technicians already in Ghana?
Okay, go ahead. Is that your question?
Yes. Well,
you want to know if we have. Okay, you are one of them in Ghana. You have been trained, you're certified, you are qualified.
Yes, I've been doing it for about 4 years now.
For about 4 years. All right, fantastic. That's why we have this forum. People can begin to network from here, and of course, we can make things better. So this forum, you notice one thing that has been discussed since we started: collaboration. Let's begin to come together and collaborate and solve these problems. So thank you very much, Samuel, for actually pointing this out to us. And I'm sure that
my main question is, yes, I have another question about the training in Ghana at the timing of next month, the October.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I learned there's a fee that we need to pay.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I want, but I got the information that it's a paid training.
Okay, Gad, you want to take this question quickly so that
yes, I want to find out.
All right, so you can mute your mic now. Gad, please just take that question quickly before
I think that maybe after the questions, then we can answer that.
Okay,
for all the
fantastic.
Yes,
Fantastic. All right, to the panelists now. There are a number of questions here, and both Taurayi and Alex, if you're both here, still with us, I'd like either one of you to jump on this and respond. So is there any country that has adopted a curriculum in Africa that you know of at the moment? Taurayi, what do you have to say? Gad, do you know anything about that?
Not that I know of myself.
Okay, none at the moment. Okay, that you know of. Okay. Now, I know.
I think can I take that?
Yes,
Samuel's hand is still up. I don't know whether he has a question again.
Samuel, your hand is back up. Do you
Samuel,
still have a question
up.
of attended to you?
Yes. My question has been attended.
Okay. Please, you can just put your hand down.
You said you will answer after the.
Yes,
after
it will be answered. Yes, it will be answered. Okay.
I think with respect to the curricula, I would say that no, there is no curricula. Actually, what we are developing at AfricaNEV, if you will, is actually the blueprint. But the simple, I think one of the panelists alluded to it earlier, that our conditions are slightly different. You know, a motor is a motor, a controller is a controller, a battery pack is a battery pack. But usage plays a huge role. With respect to the sort of problems or the peculiarity and the commonality and the frequency of the problems that we are likely to see. That is the first thing. The second thing is that, you know, with the electric vehicles, we have the two-wheelers, the three-wheelers, and the four-wheelers. For the four-wheelers, you know, into brackets, we have an interest there. They are actually doing a lot of work.
Somebody's microphone that's
that
on.
area. But for the two and three wheelers, there's nothing. And this is a problem of partly government regulation and partly the industry. So we have a situation where on the point that we have a Wild West situation. Everybody is doing their own thing. People are using different voltages, different current, different form factors for especially the battery pack systems.
Okay.
So there are complexities when it comes to that. The answer is no, short version.
So, Gad, can you tell us about the training that's coming up in Kenya? I mean, in Ghana now, so that we can wrap up this session.
Oh, okay. With the training, all right. It is electric vehicle technician training. So it's happening all across the continent. The first one, as a pilot, was what happened in Kenya in May. That you had a couple of the people who were there speak about. The next one is happening. The next set that's happening from this month in Nairobi, Kenya, Accra, Ghana, Mwanzo, Ghana, then Lagos, Nigeria. There are other countries that are in the pipeline that we are working on, but we have not yet had confirmed dates. Now, with respect to the amounts, it's a paid program because we are incurring a lot of expense in terms of the training. And the training revolves around a tear down. By the time you are done, you should be able to break the car apart and put it back together. And it must work. If it doesn't work, you're not done with the training. So for Kenya, everybody on the call, if you are going to have the training in Kenya, there is an amount you will pay, and there are ways you can pay. In Ghana, there's an amount you're supposed to pay, and there's a way you can pay that amount. I think let me just mention that, since you guys are requesting for it. Let me see. How about I share my screen?
I'm sure you can. Go ahead.
So if you have any questions, please just send an email to africanev@gmail.com. That's africanev@gmail.com. We should be able to answer your questions any questions that you may have. So this is let me see.
For Ghana.
For Ghana, good. And it is what was the word? It is.
I can see 32,000 CDs, 3,200 CDs for early payment and 3,500 CDs for late payment.
Exactly. Okay. That is if you pay by a particular time.
Yes.
But if you go beyond that, then the amount is different.
And the particular time you've put here is 16th of September. That's when the early payment ends. After that, you have late payment that is 3,500 Ghanaian CD.
Good. Okay. And there are payment details. Then let me go to Nigeria, and then we finish with Kenya.
Okay. Dad, are you projecting the one for Nigeria yet?
Yes, I'm doing that.
Okay, please.
Sorry. My system is a bit slow. So this is Nigeria.
Okay, so early registration for Nigeria ends on the 2nd of October, 2023. Early payment is 220,000 Nigerian naira, while late payment is 250,000 Nigerian naira. Details is also here for payment. It's a Stanbic Bank, the account number is there, and I'm sure you can have access to it. So let's go to Nairobi, please. Okay. Or Kenya. I mean, might not be Nairobi, I don't know. But
I think Nairobi, Kenya.
Nairobi, Kenya. Okay, fine. So let's have the one for that.
Kenya. So give me a minute. Okay. Good. So,
okay, the one for fine. The one for Kenya now, deadline for registration is 10th of September, which was 3 days ago, and that is supposed to be 35,000 Kenyan shillings for early payment, which is over right now, and 40,000 Kenyan shilling from now till the time that, of course, the training will take place. The Kenya date, the date for Kenya is put at, what date do I see there now? 22nd to 29th of September. The one for Accra in Ghana is 6th to 14th of October. The one for Kumasi in Ghana is 16th to 21st of October. And the one for Nigeria, Lagos, is 20th to 27th of October 2023. Well, thank you so much, Gad, for that information you have given us. Today, it's been very much exciting, and it's been very much informative for me. I've learned a lot. We had both Alex and Taurayi doing justice to the topic for discussion today. We were able to highlight some of the solutions that we expect that will help us in the ecosystem in Africa. We talked about the solutions, including Africa needs to start making deals with countries that actually manufacture these vehicles. We also talked about being ready to manufacture in Africa. We talked about policy for fair playground for us to be able to scale. Of course, we also talk about beginning to look at how charging infrastructure investments can come in, owing to the amount of adoption of EVs that we have, owing to incentives that come for purchasing EVs. We also talked about advocacy towards the public and towards government institutions so they can understand what this is all about. And then how do we debunk the EV myth? Those were some of the solutions that were preferred here today. We also talked about collaboration over competition, how to develop curriculum with local skill sets so that these can succeed in Africa, the use of EVs and the maintenance of EVs. We also talked about the issue of safety when it comes to maintenance, train the trainers were part of the things that were discussed here today. It has been an exciting one for me. I have learned a lot. I want to say a special thank you to our panelists. Yes, I want to say a big thank you to you, Alexander Mwanzo and Taurayi Raymond Sewera. Thank you so much for your contribution to this today. I also want to say thank you to everyone that joined on this call today because you have all contributed to the success. But this is where we're going to lay this to rest today. And of course, we will see you next time we have such an opportunity. I remain the mechanic, Tunde Onokoya, saying thank you so much. God bless.
On that note, as the host for this session, thank you very much for doing justice to the panel. And thank you, everybody. We'll be getting in touch with you with our next panel. If you have any questions about the training, please, like I said earlier, reach out to us on africanev@gmail.com, or you have our contacts for country-specific queries. Just